Wayfield's coach this week in the Wildcats' last throw of the dice to stay in Super League in 2016. Here in the final match of the Magic Weekend, can they repeat the first round win at Castleford in February that rocked the Tigers, or will it be a 13th Super League defeat in a row? The Magic Weekend has been brilliant. It started with Widnes's win against Salford, continued with Hull's big win against Hull KR, and Wigan then seeing off the league leaders. Today we've had the draw between Catalan and Huddersfield. St Helens have just ground out the victory against Warrington. Now we bring the curtain down with Castleford against Wakefield. And you can see how important it is as far as Castleford are concerned, a win and they're right in the mix again. Wakefield, well, they've already are building for the middle eights. We've heard that from Michael Carter, the club chairman. But what will happen over the next few weeks when Brian Smith finally gets his feet under the table? Let's take a check on the way these two sides will line up then for the final match of the Magic. Tansey is the fullback. Then it's Gibson, Webster, Shenton the skipper, and Solomona. Liam Finn partners Luke Gale. The forwards, it's Lynch, Moore and Millington, Holmes, McMeekan and Massey. And on the bench, it's Milner, Boyle, Moores and Marr. And the coach is Darryl Powell, the reigning coach of the year. For Wakefield, they've got Richard Owen at fullback, then they go Johnston, Collis, Lynn and Riley. Jacob Miller partners Tim Smith. Forward pack for Wakefield, Scruton, McShane and Anderson. Washbrook, Kermond, who skippers the side, and Malloy. And the substitutes for the Wildcats: Godinet, Ryan, Simon and Daniel Smith, the coach. But in a caretaker capacity, Stuart Dickens, who will be working under Brian Smith in the future when the Australian gets over here this week and starts work a week tomorrow. Castleford Tigers. This could be a high-scoring end to the Magic Weekend if past history tells us anything. 54-16 in 2008, 40-20 in 2011, 32-26 2012, 49-24 2013, and 50 points to 12 last year. 3 wins to Castleford in that sequence, 2 to Wakefield. It could be interesting, this game, and I just wonder, Steve-O, how the news of Brian Smith's arrival, although Michael Carter said before we spoke to him on the air, the players don't even know this news yet.
Yeah, but I'm sure that they have some indication of that. The jungle would have got all the messages through, Eddie, and I can be sure of that, listen, most of these players out here, especially from the Wakefield side, of course, will be fully aware of the experience of Brian Smith. And who knows, it may lift them, because they'll need lifting. They have not been playing all that well of late. They've been putting in good effort. They can't be faulted for that, but it's the skill factor that has been missing, and especially their defence has been somewhat weak. Whether Castleford Tigers can take advantage of that, because they've been up and down like a yo-yo of late. So it's all to fight for.
It is all to fight for, and there's nothing to choose in Super League meetings between these two sides. Castleford 21 wins, Wakefield 19. Joseph Cobb is the match referee. He's the man in the middle for the final match of the Magic. Game 6.
Paul, just wait till I tell you, mate. We're on
the 12th, 11th and 12th teams coming out at the one venue. Wonderful weekend we've had, and I just wonder what sort of entertainment we have got to come over the next 80 minutes to hopefully bring the curtain down
when you're ready, Paul.
in some style. So here we go. Castleford Wakefield, a feisty West Yorkshire derby.
Certainly is, Eddie. There's no love lost between these two sides, that is for sure. They'll be bent on making sure that they get off to a flying start. And it has been a wonderful Sunday, hasn't it? Talk about drama, the first 2 games, and I'm sure that they won't let us down, these 2 clubs.
It's been a brilliant 2 days, been a fantastic 2 days. Great atmosphere, and plenty of people have stuck around right the way to the end of this Magic Weekend to see this final match. It's Castleford, though, who are driving their way forward here with Mike McMeekin. Quick play the ball to Scott Moore. and then Liam Finn with a kick high into the Newcastle air, and Richard Owen is the man who is underneath the kick.
Well, the two games we've had today have gone into the last minute with the result still in the balance. And I guess for Wakefield to achieve that and make it 3 from 3, they have to start the game well. It's unlikely with a team lacking in confidence like the Wildcats are, will come from behind when they get to half-time. By much. Was that a high tackle? A serious head injury for the Castleford player, I think. Collision in between the two of them.
There are two players absolutely flat out. Scott Anderson.
Scott Moore's the other one, Eddie.
Scott Moore, what a clash of head. What a clash of heads that is.
Well, it can be a very, very tough game, but I can see both have come out of it. Oh.
Well, the lights are out. As soon as those two players clash heads, you see Scott Moore and Scott Anderson.
Good start, guys.
Scott Moore's up. That's a good
This will take
sign.
some time to sort out, I think.
Third tackle, yeah, mate.
The medical staff will have to be absolutely certain before moving them. Although look at Scott Moore, he looked as though he was totally out for the count. He's got blood coming from a facial injury, obviously, but he is the first to show signs that everything is a-okay as far as he is concerned. Scott Anderson as yet hasn't moved much, though the legs are moving, which is good news.
Yeah, it just shows you the intensity that we have in rugby league. Darryl Powell obviously concerned, as is the caretaker coach Stuart Dickens for Wakefield. But that has amazed me, Phil, in regards to the fact that they've recovered so quickly.
Well,
they were both out.
He's physically a very tough man. I mean, he played in the Super League against adults when he was 16 years of age. He's very tough. He's up on his feet. Castleford have the advantage of having a replacement for him on the bench. Adam Milner will come on, I imagine, straight away and play as hooker. He's taken, and I guess we'll get a proper assessment off the field of play, which is the right protocol now for all the teams.
Well, changes having to be made by both sides right at the start of this match. And I know they have a quarter of an hour to assess the situation, but you have to say you're doubtful whether you will see those two returning to action here today. Their magic hasn't lasted long. What a clash of heads that was. And there is Stuart Dickens, the caretaker coach, talking to him at some length this week, and he says that he is happy to work under whichever coach it is, and that's a scrambling bit of defence, because it looked like Castle were on the way up the other end.
But they finished up with the possession, which is the most important, and this fella will be so significant for the Tigers. Andy Lynch, 100% every time he goes out on the field of play.
Nathan Massey now for Castleford, just 8-9 metres away from the line. And Adam Milner straight into the action off the bench after a minute and a half. Michael Shenton, the ball goes wide, and it's an early try for Denny Solomona. Denny Solomona gets the first try for Castleford. Big smile on his face. His 5th appearance of 2015 this. He played last week against Huddersfield. That's his 3rd try of the season.
Good charge down. They got the look of the bounce. It looked as though it was going to go to 1, but it was finished up in the end. But it was a quick play of the ball and quick hands out on the left-hand side. The final pass from Shenton is superb. Just squeezed in there. Tom Johnston just got caught out slightly. See how it's just a bit slow to come through. It enables the Solomona to dive into the corner.
Haven't we seen some spectacular tries at the Magic this weekend? And Solomona, his first 2 tries of the season came in the round 1 defeat by Wakefield. His 3rd has come in the Magic against the same team.
Well, it was a fairly simple play from Castleford, but it's the hard line. When we watch it again, the hard line of Oliver Holmes, the number 11 from Castleford, just stands up the defenders from the Wildcats. They then scramble in, they can't adjust, and the space is there at the corner, and Denny Solomona gets Castleford's first try of the afternoon, or evening, should I say.
Tea time, Barry, 5:30.
I've been here a long time, Eddie, to be fair.
Yeah,
if I get confused what time it is, forgive me.
We're all in the same boat, don't worry about that. Here is the conversion attempt, and it's a brilliant conversion too from Luke Gale, and that 2 points takes him to a career 1,000 for Luke Gale.
Well, the accuracy of the kick complements the accuracy of the passing and the timing of the runs here. Castleford certainly stretched the defence. Defenders want to be tight, so they've got players either side of them. Attackers want to stretch and use the full 68 metres of this pitch. They did that, just about got inside the corner flag.
Okay.
So early score for Castleford. They started here, the favourites, and of course they felt before the season began they were very much in the hunt for a top 4 finish until they lost to Huddersfield last week. And they lost last week, and there were a couple of controversial video referee decisions that went against them. It means they must win here. They've got a trip to Hull Kingston Rovers, Leeds, and a home game against St Helens lying ahead of them in the month of June. It's a big month for Castleford Tigers. It's a big month for Darryl Powell.
Well, the way the league is turning out, Eddie, it's going to be a tough road all the way through now. There's been a few upsets. The favourites have come undone. Remember Wigan down in Catalan. So anything can happen, and they're all strapping, aren't they, to avoid the bottom 4, and that's a knock-on. Oh, that's a shocking error.
Well, he claims innocence here, Richard Owen. Did the ball hit the ground after it touched the palm of his hand?
Yes.
Yes, it did.
Not the best. That's a definite knock-on. Touched terra firma there.
And that is moving towards the opposition's in-goal area, so that's a clear knock-on.
I'm sure if Richard Owen had his time again, he'd perhaps trap that ball with his foot, take his time and pick it up, but it was the kick chase of Castleford forced him into a decision, and that was how the fumble came about.
And Richard Owen, a former Castleford Tigers winger, of course.
Well, in a team sport, there are times you need your teammates to help you. This is one for Richard Owen. They can't afford to be 12-0 down inside 6 minutes.
You can't. Here comes Jake Webster, the big raw-boned Kiwi. And he is halted 15 metres from the line. Bit of a scramble to get the ball down on the ground and play the ball, which he does eventually to Liam Finn. He gets it away then to Andy Lynch.
Wakefield have to realise that Shenton will come on the angle, way out on that left-hand side.
There is Gale. Oh, it's a looping pass over the top. It's Solomona again. It's Solomona with his second try. Hasn't scored since the first round against Wakefield. Here he's got 2 in the opening 6 or 7 minutes of the Magic. Is Solomona going to provide us with a third hat-trick at this event? We had 2 yesterday and we haven't had 1 yet, but this could be it. The last match of day 2.
All came from the error, and Richard Owen, he tried his best to convince the referee Joseph Cobb, but this is beautiful play. This is a play that has been worked out on the training paddock for quite some time. We mentioned the fact that Shenton, and you could see there that yet again Tom Johnston, he was putting himself in line because he knew Shenton was coming on that angle, and when it went over the top, it was try number 2 for Mr. Solomona.
Well, it was a quality pass, wasn't it, from Luke Gale, the number 7 for Castleford Tigers. I've got friends who go watching Castleford Tigers home and away, and they reckon that he consistently is a top performer and should and could be pushing international honours at the end of the year himself, Luke Gale.
Well, we heard from Michael Carter that the new coach Brian Smith was probably watching this live on Fox Sports in Australia. Brian, hello, welcome to the Super League. Hopefully we'll talk to you in the week on Boots and All. Best of luck. The kick doesn't find the mark from Luke Gale this time. 10-0.
Well, it looks like Tiger time on the Tyne, unless Wakefield can do something here to respond, because we're making it look rather easy. It's great skill, nice execution, but they are scoring whenever they get close to opponent's try line, and Wakefield, well, they better find something in this next few minutes to make this game a competition.
10-0 Castleford. Wakefield restart. Hardly seen anything from them in attack with the ball in hand as yet. They've been pegged back on defence. We had that horrendous head clash in the opening minutes, and Bill Arthur has got the news of the 2 victims.
Yeah, it was grim and grimmest for Scott Anderson. He came off second best in that clash of heads with Scott Moore. Neither of them very clever, but on top of having the cog test, Scott Anderson also has a really nasty gash on his brow, which is going to take some patching up and stitching. So it'll be some time, I suspect, before they can get him back on the field. Scott Anderson, in the words of his physio, Matt Crowther, well, I can't use the words that Matt Crowther used to describe his durability, but tough was one of them, and they expect him back very soon.
Good enough. Amazing if he does. Takes the ball in the in-goal area, does Richard Owen. So now then, can they launch something in the attack for the Wildcats? 8 minutes, they've been very much on the back foot.
Yeah, he got it right. And, he realised that he had to just step through, not leave one foot in the field of play. I suppose in many ways, you know, the caretaker coach Stuart Dickens will realise that a little bit of luck went against them. Remember, they tried it was from the charge down, and Castleford did get possession from there, and then of course the knock on from Richard Owen well before Wakefield, and at least they're into the opposition half now.
Well, they waved the white flag a while ago after the 80-0 drubbing at Warrington did at Wakefield. They said, as far as, well, James Webster said, let's put it into context. James Webster, the departing coach, says they're now looking at the middle eights, and they're the first team to say that every minute doesn't matter for them anymore. But as far as Stuart Dickens and the people who are still at Wakefield, and certainly the players who are out there on the field and in the dressing room, they are targeting wins in every match they play, and they want to be in as best form and as best shape as they can be injury-wise when they come to those middle eights, because even Michael Carter in his interview before the match said that was probably where they're going. But here is another try, brilliant from Shenton, feeds the fullback Tansey, and he goes over the line for the third Castleford try, and we've hardly been playing for a quarter of an hour. It looks like being another tough day at the office for Wakefield.
Yeah, their defence all over the shop. Take nothing away from the wonderful break from the centre, Michael Shenton. And again, you've got to put a little bit of a pat on the back to their coach, Darryl Powell, because this is something that Michael Shenton does quite a lot. A lot of centres don't like to come in midfield and play down, but if they can see that there's a problem, and he jumped into the dummy half position, and what about the dummy? Boy, reminds me of Kevin Brown yesterday. He was in superb form. You can add that to the list of Michael Shenton. Boy, no worries, smile on the face.
Yeah, Jordan Tansey, no controversy about that try that he scored for Castleford. Probably the scorer of the most infamous magic try for Leeds against the Bradford Bulls in Cardiff in 2007. Luke Gale here to try and add the extras. They've raced into an early lead. I don't think that Castleford will be taking their eye off the ball here, because in the opening round match they led 22 points to 6, 9 minutes remaining, and they conspired somehow to lose the match. I think they will try and keep the foot on the pedal all the way through to the end of the 80 minutes. Gale adds the extras. It's a catastrophic start for Wakefield, but absolutely what Castleford want, 16-0.
Well, when people talk about having the eye of the tiger, I think it's a metaphor for the ruthless streak that Castleford have demonstrated in this match. They know their opponents are wounded and hurt, but they're not going to take any sympathy, and they're going to make sure early in this match they rack up the points and play in the controlled and focused manner that their coach has been asking for some time. In fact, recently he said he was getting bored of watching his team, getting bored of doing the right things to win matches. Well, they certainly started this game with the attitude and the ability and application that's going to give them 2 more competition points.
Well, we've checked the Sky Sports diary, and after this magic appearance for Wakefield, the next time we will see the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats will be on the 23rd of June, and that will be the match in Perpignan against the Catalan Dragons. Brian Smith by then will be well and truly installed as the coach. Well and truly, he will have stamped his authority on the Wakefield Wildcats, and we'll see what happens then on the 20th of June. My apologies, I lost a few days there in the calculation. The 20th of June.
Eddie, I can remember when Brian Smith turned up at Bradford. He had a spell, of course, in this country whilst he was coaching Hull FC. but he revolutionised the Bradford Bulls. And Bullmania was born, and the infrastructure that Steve O talked about, it wasn't just the players that were improved and the roster of the players, but it was the backroom staff, and it was the whole feeling around Bradford at that time. Odsal, before that, previous to that, was somewhat in the doldrums, but Brian Smith came in and just totally changed the club around. And I'm sure that the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats will be feeling and hoping that their time will come soon. A lot of water under the bridge since then, but fingers crossed for Wakefield.
Absolutely, he will dig the place up from top to bottom. I think there is no doubt about that whatsoever. And here is Tim Smith, one of his star men, of course, but that's not the best kick, and it's easily gobbled up by Jordan Tanzi, who gives it to the try scorer Denny Solomona, the scorer of the first 2 tries anyway. 26,900 here, so almost 27,000 inside the ground throughout the course of Sunday, bringing us a weekend total of almost 68,000 at the Magic here in Newcastle, and that is a record for this event. Well done to everybody concerned, well done to all the supporters. They have given us a fabulous weekend, and so have the players and the coaches.
And I'd also like to thank the people of Newcastle, because they really have welcomed everybody here. It's been fantastic.
Steve, that includes the people at St James's Park. It's very important when you come to a football ground that they get us, and they get rugby league people, and they've really looked after us.
Oliver Holmes gets the ball away. Oh, now then, here goes
Tom Johnson.
Tom Johnson, and he can outstrip Milner. He can, and he will beat Jordan Tanzi to the line, and that's a great response. And the whole stadium cheers that try from Johnson to the rafters. The only people who don't, of course, the Castleford Tigers fans, who are massed behind the posts behind which he's just scored. Neutrals have stayed, and they enjoyed that. Tom Johnson giving a little bit of hope and spirit for the Wildcats for this match, and more importantly perhaps for what lies ahead.
And it'll be great for his confidence as well. Remember, he's been put under pressure for those 2 tries that the Tigers sent in. They tried to keep that ball alive and give him full credit for coming up to whitewash, and he showed the pace. Nice little pen just at the end. He knows he's put Wakefield well and truly back in this game. That was a wonderful effort. Great speed. Holmes tried to keep it alive. No in the world that Luke Gale could get to that pass. Great finish.
Steve, he scored a brilliant try last week. It was more of a team try. This one was an individual effort. But that's now 3 tries in his last 4 Super League games. And if the Wakefield fans don't go home away from this ground with a win, they go away with the confidence that there's potential in this club. With players like Tom Johnson, and the fact that in the area around Wakefield, their academy has traditionally been a strong club. They can produce and develop their own players. They've just been unable to keep hold of them.
Yes, 19 years of age, Tom Johnson. A try against Widnes, as Phil rightly says, last week. And he had a great pre-season as well. Been under pressure, of course, with the likes of Riley and Richard Owen as the usual wingers, but Owen these days being utilised as the full-back. That's opened the door for Tom Johnson, and boy, has he taken his opportunity with both hands. Just what they needed, Wakefield, and a glimpse of the future maybe, and a glimpse of what's to come later on in the season.
It's pretty important now that Wakefield just settled it down a bit, though. That's adventurous, and that's good rugby league.
Just shows you what a try does. And here goes Chris Riley. It lifts the confidence of all the players.
Quick play, the ball is needed, but they've held him down.
Shocking start to the match, but Wakefield suddenly getting to grips with Newcastle and the Magic. Miller, Owen, good hit though, good hit by Solomona. Nowhere through then for Dean Collis.
Yeah, the pass just went behind Collis slightly. It allowed Solomona to come off the wing.
Here's the try scorer, Tom Johnson. As I say, all the neutrals in this ground are well and truly behind the underdogs, the Wildcats. Tim Smith will hoist the high kick towards the left-hand side. All chasing it. The ball has bounced everywhere. It's play on. It's a try. It is a try for Daniel Smith. He's given the try without reference upstairs. Castleford furious. Castleford are furious. The Thunderbirds are go. The Wildcats are go. They bit back. I said Castleford wouldn't take their eye off the ball, and suddenly it looks like Wakefield are going to score 12 points.
Yeah, you put the mocker on them, Eddie, but I'm surprised that the official, Joseph Cobb, has not gone upstairs on this, because it looked as though there was a little bit of impeding, obstruction, pushing, shoving. Surely it was pushed away. That's what they were saying, Castleford players, but it was in a good position with the referee.
I think, if anything, the contact's made by the Castleford player who was trying to escort them off the ball. So I think that's of their own doing there, and I think, well done Joseph Cobb, who's backed his own judgment and went on with the decision. But I certainly think that collision is caused by a Castleford player.
Well, it looked like they were finished after 10 minutes. They were 16-0 down, and in the last 7 minutes they fought their way back into the match, and this kick from Jacob Miller to make it 16 points to 12. And 16 points to 12 it is. Feisty local derby, high scoring previously, I've already mentioned that. Looks like we're in for the same again.
Well, what a big moment for Daniel Smith as we just look at Scott Anderson. Looks like he's been stitched up. Daniel Smith, born and bred in Castleford, he's the nephew of former Castleford great Tony Smith, a scrum half that served both clubs and was the coach of Wakefield a while ago. And while he was playing for Castleford Lock Lane as a junior, he had the great Lee Crooks as his coach and mentor. So Daniel Smith, he'll have really enjoyed that try.
I don't think Castleford will have done it. 16-12 to the Tigers, but a 16-0 lead is rapidly evaporating. Bill, you've got some more news from downstairs.
Yeah, well, Scott Anderson is not going to be coming back for the Wakefield Wildcats by the look of things, as the verdict from the team doctor has shaken their head to the sideline team for the Wildcats, and Scott Anderson really is in a bit of a mess. He's got a big cut on his brow, stitched up. I think there's a bit of blurred vision as well, and he's all suited up. He's got his warm weather gear on because it is a bit chilly down here now, and that is a blow for the Wildcats. Meanwhile, on the pitch, things looking up.
Things really are looking up. 16-0 to 16-12. It's a great revival.
Movement. Hold the 10. Wait. Go. Good. 4.
And they got Tim Smith looking to prize an opening again in this Castleford defence.
Just saying, Eddie, they got just reward as well because they were adventurous deep within their own half, and that got them in a good position. And from the kick, the real schmozzle in regards to defence from the Tigers, and the chase is a lot better there from Wakefield. You're right, Eddie. 1 try lifts your confidence. 2, boy, you're bursting.
Yes, you think you're world beaters, and Castleford know now, and they didn't know in the first 10 minutes, they know now they are in again.
In some ways, it is an advantage for Wakefield for the remaining games. There is no pressure on them. The chairman's indicated the fact that they're looking for the stage of the season after this. Matches don't really matter. It's just playing well that they have to try and practice doing. But the pressure now on the Tigers with just a 4-point lead. Lynch gets them into a great position to attack.
Well, they have the talent. They have some players still to come back from injury, and that, I know, is the great hope for Wakefield. The great hope that they will have a competitive side for the middle eights for August and September. There's a push and a shove, and it's a penalty here.
Well, it took him in the air. He took him in the air. Jake Webster just couldn't resist it, shaking the head, but the officials got it right. Well, it's impressed me is the man with the whistle, Joseph Cobb.
Don't forget, when we talk of the middle eights, that everybody in the game believes Wakefield will be involved in. You'll be able to follow that each and every week through the middle eights here on Sky Sports, and we will have live for you what is being dubbed as the £1 million match between the teams finishing 4th and 5th in the league after that series of 7 games of the middle eights. Another penalty here for Wakefield, and it's getting a little bit raucous out there.
It's Danny Kermond who has the ball stripped from him. Luke Gale in attend. I think it's Shenton involved after the ball comes loose. A bit of afters. Danny Kermond, he's a big player for Wakefield. Whenever Wakefield play well, Danny Kermond is right in the front of the battle for his team.
Hold the 10. Wait.
Well, they keep
the dummy half.
Sorry, Eddie. They're keeping this ball alive, Wakefield. And it's creating all sorts of problems for Castleford defence. They did not expect this. They raced away to a 16-point lead with the Tigers. They thought it was going to be easy.
And at the moment it's looking anything but easy. They're having to defend here because they're only halfway through this set of 6. The Wildcats, Tim Smith seeing plenty of the ball. He will certainly be lifted by the arrival of Brian Smith. He was Rookie of the Year under Brian Smith in his coaching in the Parramatta Club in 2005.
This needs a neat kick into the in-goal area.
There's Smith again, and there it was, an attempted kick. It ricochets everywhere, and that's good work from Luke Gale. He was the first to react to that spinning ball.
Not the best, though. Really should have got that ball away a lot quicker. It allowed the Castleford defence to sort of put themselves in between. I don't think he knocked on, Gale.
Tansey goes down. There is Tim Smith. And the news filters through into the dressing room about who's coming. He, I'm sure, will be lifted and will be effervesced by the fact that Brian Smith is coming on the plane this week.
We don't know if they got on. We don't know if those two players got on. The player and coach, though, do we? You know, I mean,
players and coaches never fall out, do they? Let's get down to Bill.
Yeah, bloke for the Castleford Tigers. First choice hooker Scott Moore will not be coming back. It looked as though he might make it. He came out of the two that clash with Scott Anderson, the least damage of the two. Scott Anderson with 7 stitches in that cut on his brow, blurred vision as well, grogginess. Scott Moore, though, can't come back. So that is a blow for the Castleford Tigers. Eddie, while we're handing out the accolades, a big rap for the staff here at St James's Park, because they've been a joy to deal with, very accommodating, very cheerful, and made life really easy.
Yes, here to that. I think we're all in agreement. Barry mentioned it before. You have just endorsed that.
Move. Hold it. Go. 4.
McShane again at dummy half. Smith with a boot down the middle, and this is going to be a good kick too, because it will mean Tansey has to run it away from his own try line, and it's an enthusiastic chase that was led by Tim Smith.
Yeah, it was a good kick by the number 7. He got the backspin onto it.
Ashley Gibson goes down in the second tackle of this set of 6. Liam Finn is the man in there at dummy half, and here comes Jake Webster again.
Not surprisingly, the Tigers just making sure they get over the advantage line, making a good position to make the kick. They've got to go back to basics. It's a bright opening from them.
Oh, it's a breathtaking start from Castleford. It really was. They were cutting them to ribbons in defence.
it seems as though they're trying to be more conservative, doesn't it? They've just had simple runs down the middle of the field to get to this point. I think they want to go set for set and try and win territorially rather than entertainingly.
Richard Owen pouches the kick from Liam Finn.
Hold the 10, wait. Go, well done, good.
And Rhys Lynn is there at dummy half.
It's important now the Tigers put the pressure, ensure that Wakefield don't get anywhere near that halfway line. They know that Tim Smith's got the quality kick.
Third, Andy,
3 tackles gone. Wakefield still trapped deep inside their own half. Lynch gets up off the floor and away from Mikael Simon.
Okay.
Good offload. Here come the Wildcats again.
4, Mike, move. 10 metres here, right, wait. Go, good. 4.
And here they come with Matt Ryan.
5, move, trapped, wait. Stand up.
McShane in
go,
at dummy half. Oh, that's a loose pass, but it finds its way to Richard Owen.
There's a problem with the Castleford player. I think it might be Jake Webster.
Yes, he's receiving treatment as this move continues, courtesy of Jordan Tansey. It is Webster. Problems for him, and the problems here for Wakefield, because here is a penalty going Castleford Tigers' way.
Time off.
He just went down awkward into it, and I think the shoulder got him fair and square in right into the face. You can see he dropped away. He's in a lot of pain.
Well, with all facial or head injuries now, they do take the time, but I suppose that would be sensible if he's safe to get him off the field here now and do a full assessment. He's been down for long enough to know that that's not just a minor knock.
Yeah, he's played in the last 3 as Jake Webster. McShane hanging on to the legs of Jordan Tansey, and that's why Castleford have the penalty that we're waiting for. And there's Scott Moore, good to see him back up again. They've got two shiners. He's smiling about it as well, Scott Moore. Him and...
He's probably not sure what's happened, Eddie.
Well, no, Scott Anderson, the coaches won't be smiling though, because that was a very early change of personnel, wasn't it?
It does alter
60
things,
seconds.
and it's going to alter the way that the rotation happens, the way that substitutions go on, but it was a hefty knock, and it looks like Jake Webster
will be leaving the field soon.
Will be leaving the field, yeah. Different to Scott Moore. Scott Moore and Scott Anderson clashed heads. You almost saw the eyes of both players roll in the back of their heads. He's in full control.
I'm fascinated, and I'll be interested to know how medically he can receive treatment for that long and be fine to stay on the field.
If it was a head clash, was it a head clash or a shoulder into the head?
Or a neck injury, a neck creak?
Well, it was definitely the shoulder that went into him. We saw that on the replay.
Well, he's staying out there, Jake Webster.
Well, the physio obviously felt that it's A-OK.
And the doctor was in attendance as well.
Yep.
And it's Matty Crowther, the physio for Castleford, so he should know. Former Sheffield player, of course.
Milner was the dummy half. He got it away to Gale. A short pass then from Luke Gale.
10 metres. Wait.
And Oliver Holmes picks himself up off the ground. Milner again. Back it comes to the prop forward Millington, who gives it to Tansey. And then Tansey gets the ball away to McMeekan.
Will this be an early kick from Liam Finn?
Stand up. Go. Just a tangle.
Webster, the dummy half. Well, there is Finn trying to jink his way to the line. Almost does it as well.
5. Move, Danny. Wait.
So last one here for Castleford, 2 metres shy of the Wakefield line. Gale slides the kick in. It's gobbled up though by Tim Smith, and then he's hammered on the ground by Oliver Holmes.
Go. Come on. Hold the 10.
Well, Darryl Powell will be a little bit disappointed with that. It looked a weak kick. And nothing away from Tim Smith to save the day. But it looked very weak. You've got to put a fair amount of power to just put it on the angle.
It's a surge here now from Castleford. They recognise they want to trap their opponents. There's been a lull in there of play for a few minutes while the Wildcats came back to life. But now, look, they've strangled them. They're still inside their own 10-metre zone. Half of the set's gone.
They've upped the ante, there's no doubt about that. And Daniel Smith goes down on tackle number 5. So the kick here from 17, 18 metres away from their own Wakefield line will have to be good. It's with Tim Smith under pressure from Holmes. He gets the ball away, and that's a decent kick. But back come the Tigers once again, although Solomona just slips at the crucial moment.
But it's a good position to be in. And it just shows you that your defence, if you work hard, and they applied their pressure on Tim Smith, it was a poor kick. Wakefield now will be under more and more pressure.
The drive in from Ryan Boyle, one of the 4 substitutes that Darryl Powell named for this match, and one of them was on inside 60 seconds when Scott Moore was injured. It was Adam Milner, he's out there, and the ball is weaved out to its way to the left-hand side to Shenton, and Michael Shenton gets over the line. Castleford strike. They upped the ante, they kept Wakefield back, pegged close to their own line. They had to kick from 15 metres away, that's all after the 6 tackles. And then in the next set, Castleford can up the other end, and Shenton inching towards 500 points for Castleford now.
Well, obviously Darryl Powell has pinpointed the problems in defence by Tom Johnston. He scored a wonderful solo try, but to be able to be pushed off like that is not what Stuart Dickens, the caretaker coach, would have been looking for. This is just sheer quality through the dummy, but the way he just pushed away Tom Johnston would not please the coach nor his fellow players. It's a wonderful piece of play by Shenton. He really has come back to Castleford and shown the real quality. That was international class.
So Michael Shenton with the try, 8th of the season. a try in the magic win against Wakefield last year when Castleford won by 50 points to 12. And a couple of years at St Helens, of course. Michael Shenton. Luke Gale then to try and add the extras with another difficult kick from the far side. Oh, and he's kicking well. Good stuff from Luke Gale, and Castleford now just breathing slightly easier, 22-12.
Well, we're just going to show you here, when a team do a power surge, we've speeded it up. But this is what Castleford did with their defence. They speeded up the way that they got back on side and up into the faces of their opponents. And the end result was the 6 points they got on the try from it. By the time they get possession, the back are taking centre field, and that kick's gone over the back line. Penalty to the Tigers.
Yeah, not the best kick, and he's not having the best of games, actually, is Richard Owen. Remember, he knocked on when there was hardly anybody near him, and it resulted in a try for the Tigers.
Okay, Luke.
And not surprisingly, Castleford are working on that right-hand edge of this Wakefield defence, creating all sorts of trouble. And the way that Michael Shenton is building in confidence, he's leading the way.
One, Daniel, move!
And they are inside the Wakefield half again here, and looking eager to post more points. 31 minutes gone, Castleford 22, Wakefield 12. Milner at dummy half and finds Gale, and Gale dummies and gives it to Tansey. Here's a hat-trick for Solomona. What a try! Left-handed. Now then, the touch judge has got his flag up, and Joseph Cobb will hand this upstairs to the video referee. Danny Kermond is leading the protest. They've given no try on the field. Was there a foot in touch? Steve Ganson and Adam Gill with the answer, and Stuart Cummings with the description.
Well, these are usually fairly simple to work out. I think his foot just scraped the line first time, probably managed to keep off it the second time. Luckily, his work for himself, he's wearing white boots, which make it a little bit difficult, but I think there's the scrape where his foot touches the line. It's a good spot by the touch judge there, because the player's in the way, so at least we're going to get the right decision. The foot's on the line there.
And you think he has hit the line? You think the boot has actually dropped and touched the line, do you, Stuart?
I do on that look. I don't think this will show us anything, but that will be the touch judge's view. I think there's evidence there that his foot touches the line there.
Yeah, just scraped it
up in the air.
I think he just scrapes it, but what a finish.
Wow. His next step after that, he's on his tiptoes.
That was balletic, but it's no try. That must have just been the merest brush of the whitewash.
Isn't that getting a real advanced skill for the wingers? And it's all come about. We've got rid of the ruling that says if you touch the corner flag, you're out of play. Wonderful finish. Again, it was Michael Shenton. And the run that he puts in that stands up the defence and gave Dennis Solomona a bit of space, the smallest of spaces to work in.
Steve-o, that was another great try that never was that we've seen at Magic this weekend.
Yeah, it could have gone the other way. It was a difficult decision for the video referees. And this is one thing that I don't like. We don't push in the scrums. We don't have hookers. We put the ball basically into the back of the scrum to start with, and then a team just pretends to pick the ball up and gets a penalty. It's not pretty to watch, and I wish they'd change the rule.
Well, Wakefield won't be arguing because it's taken them from within 10-15 metres from their line, and they're now starting this set of 6 inside the Castleford half of the field.
Yeah, they almost conspired to produce their own defeat here, didn't they? Having conceded the try, keep the ball out on the full. They've done well here. They're still 10 points behind, which is in the game at this contest. Can they stay at that level or get even closer right now? Tim Smith looking for the inside runners.
Yes, he is, and he tried to fool everybody, but they wouldn't be fooled, the Castleford defence. So Peter Godinez is out there, and he will give it to Tim Smith, and Smith will find Owen, and Owen then gets it to Collis, and Johnson is in for his second try. So from one end of the field to the other, albeit piggybacking themselves down on the back of a penalty, and Tom Johnson scores try number 4, try number 2 of this match for him. And Wakefield are saying to everybody, we will not go away.
Well, this is becoming a real battle against the two wingers, isn't it? Dennis Solomona and Tom Johnson. They've both been at fault in conceding tries. And you can see there that Solomona, who thought he'd got a hat-trick, it just drifted in, got the overlap. Boy, what a battle royal that is out there.
I'm taking nothing away from young Tom Johnson there, but it's a little bit of a boring put down, do you not think? We should award extra points for finesse and style. No, I'm only kidding. Great comeback, great response, and Tom Johnson with 2 tries. The young Stanley player, hasn't that club produced some fantastic players? Jamie Jones-Buchanan, Jamie Peacock, Ryan Atkins, all come through the club there.
So Jacob Miller with the opportunity to add the extra 2 points to the Tom Johnson try. Well, this fixture over the years at Magic has produced points galore, and it looks like it is going to do same again here tonight. And there's a chance for this, but it just swings away in front of the posts. So 22 points to 16. And we've still got nearly 6 minutes of the second half remaining. Look at this.
Well, for some, the pitch just isn't big enough, is it? Not quite big enough. He gets his foot on the line. Same for Gene Ormsby there. Look at that. That's an amazing effort there as he gets it down. To score at this game here now takes something special, with the defence working so hard to push you over the sideline. But Tom Johnson will be very pleased with the way he's gone in this first half.
And it's just rewards. He was actually involved in trying to deny Dennis Solomona. Great defence, didn't give up, and ultimately got his rewards at the other end of the pitch as well.
Yes, Solomona and Ormsby tries today on this second day of the Magic. Tries that got away, tries that never were.
Go, good.
Well, it's a fascinating contest, Eddie, and you know, Darryl Powell and Stuart Dickens, they must be trying to tell themselves, well, yeah, great finishing, but bad positioning.
Well,
what they can do about it is going to be difficult.
We're up to 38 points in the 35th minute of this match, and the average in the Magic weekend clashes between these two near and dear local rivals is 63. So we're way on course to beat that record, to beat the average.
And you've mentioned the two coaches, of course. Darryl Powell, during his time at Featherstone, was the coach to Stuart Dickens' captaincy, so they'll both know each other very well.
Yeah, Stuart licking his lips at the prospect of going up against his former mentor.
And a very enthusiastic chase there from Wakefield. We're approaching the half-time mark in this sixth and final game. But there's certainly a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm by the way that they got downfield here now to compress their opponents, put them under pressure, see whether they can just sneak another score before we hit the hooter.
You know, the mindset is of the players playing in the last match of the Magic weekend. You know, they have to sit and they watch and they enjoy, I'm sure, the television pictures of the other games, but they have to be patient, and then they have to come out and they try and put on a real show at the end of the weekend.
Well, that's down to the backroom staff, Eddie. They prepare them in the same way as they would each week. Not get carried away about the fact that I'm sure that they won't just let them. We normally see in between the games that they come out onto the pitch, just get a feel of it, and get a feel of the crowd, especially the guys that are putting the kick in.
There's a little bit of a difference because there's obviously a journey involved. There'll be an overnight stay in a hotel room, so coaches, backroom staff, they need to get that right, but players would be excited. This is a fabulous stadium, great atmosphere. First game or last game makes no difference to the players. They want to get the win, they want to enjoy it, and they want to make it special and get a good memory. Young Tom Johnson is a perfect example of that.
And Wakefield, of course, hoping against hope that they don't go down to a 13th successive Super League defeat. That would equal their worst ever run in the competition.
And it's interesting, you know, Eddie, we're presuming that all the players, we're watching two teams and expecting 34 players to watch and study the great game of rugby league. Some of them don't watch that much. They only watch their own game. They focus on the opponents that they're playing that week, but they keep their minds empty. They don't study the game.
Actually, a defeat for Wakefield would produce their worst ever run in the Super League. 12 is the worst. They've equalled that. 13 would be an unwanted new record. Godinez just over halfway line for Wakefield.
I'm just a little bit
kick down the middle.
Sorry, Eddie, I'm just a little bit confused in regards to Baz's comment about they come up here and stay overnight. It's only about 60 miles, isn't it, up the road from Wakefield or Castleford? It's not that far.
Well, it's a special day, it's a special occasion.
Well, you've stopped over, Steve. Why shouldn't they stop over?
They only play one day. We have to play 2 days.
Preparation is the key, Steve-O. They'll be in a hotel and they'll try and create the right environment for the players.
Quick play the ball from McMeekin. He got the ball away to Milner.
And that's good defence as well by Wakefield.
Yes, from Lynch.
They struggle in the opening 15 minutes, Ed, in regards stopping the Tigers, controlling the position on the field of play. But that's a good case. Good chase, should I say.
Johnson goes down. The first tackle. We're a minute and a half away from half-time.
Well, after the position they were in, I think the Wildcats will be delighted, won't they, to go in at half-time if it stays like this. 6 points behind, their opponents within sight. Some confidence flowing now through the side. They're making ground. They get more chime in the opposition's half. They're going to get some more points.
And here they come with Matt Ryan. Halted though by that tackle. Looks like he was winded as well. Gets up gingerly, plays the ball to Godinez, goes down, tries to suck the air in. And a big drive up the middle. Godinez was hunting the possible offload that never came from Michael Simon.
Drop goal, isn't it?
Was that a drop goal attempt?
Yeah, I think it was, but he was falling backwards. Actually, you mentioned Peter Godinez. They've looked a better side of Wakefield since he came off the bench. Steered them around very, very well. Yeah, just slipped.
Yeah, Jacob Miller going for a drop goal attempt at 22-16 down.
Well, that's not a bad play, that, Eddie, though, when you think that before half-time, maybe they didn't think they were going to score from there, so was an option. Here's Solomona!
Yes, he's on his bike down the left wing again. He's got two in support inside him. He rides one challenge, he rides two challenges, but he can't get away from the next one in. And Tom Johnson did a good job there, but they got the ball played before that siren sounded. It's hit the ground, it's Liam Finn. They know this is the last play, they're going to go for broke. It's a high kick from Ryan Boyle. It's picked up by Dean Collis, and Dean Collis will take the tackle, and that will do at the end of the first half. A first half that started disastrously for Wakefield. They were a try down in 2 minutes, 2 tries down in 6, 3 tries down in 10, 16-0 was the scoreline then. But gradually they have battled their way back into the match, and they'll be happy enough that they're only trailing by 6 at half-time.